zooming at home.
So I would do the motion early on, and I was like, oh, this is getting old. So,
Respectfully disagree. I thought it was fun.
all right, we're at 6:30. Well, that was fun. All right, I call this meeting of the North Liberty Planning Commission to order. What's today? Tuesday, July 6, 2021. Roll call.
Ahern,
Aye.
Heisler,
Sorry.
Heisler,
Here.
Kehoe,
Here.
Bathke. Here. Willard.
Here.
All right. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Ahern, second by Heisler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next up, election of a chairperson. So I am all for a motion being called for anyone who would like to be a chairperson.
Is there anyone who has expressed interest or anyone here that would like to do that?
Dave, I mean, this is your first meeting, so I'm just kidding.
Way to go, Riley.
I'm happy to do it again if we would like to stay that way.
You're willing to continue?
You're excellent at it.
You're doing great.
Well, then I motion for the election of Kehoe as chair.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Bathke, second by Heisler. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now, I guess motion passes, I should say. Thank you. Now we need a vice chair,
And who is the current?
Patrick, but he is not here. Is it bad faith to vote someone who's not here? Unless someone else would like to
I
continue?
only recall that last year he volunteered as chair. I just
He did, yeah,
I'll just-
and the year before.
To avoid any, since we haven't had a chance to confirm with him, I haven't, to avoid that, I would be happy to back you up as
Great.
vice chair, since I baited you into the,
Well, then, I
Chairwoman.
motion to name Bathke our vice chairperson.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Keough, second by Ahern. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Great. Moving on to agenda item number 5, a request to approve a site plan. Staff presentation.
I was really getting used to doing the Zoom screen and sharing all that, so
Ah.
I'm a little bit of a loss, but I'm going to try and struggle through this a little bit.
I did like that.
This is at 900 West Penn, Celebrity Door business. They are looking to do a little over 13,000 square foot addition and a 12,000 square foot standalone building and related infrastructure. Proposed use would be contractor bays, and those are kind of just flex spaces. Property is currently zoned I-1 light industrial, so the use is permitted in that district. We do have an inconsistency with the comprehensive plan because the comprehensive plan calls out that area as being commercial. Comprehensive plan is advisory, in this case, the I-1 zoning pretty much rules. If it's consistent with the I-1 zoning, I think our opinion is you're compelled to approve the site plan. I know as we get into our comprehensive plan update this year, we're probably going to look a little bit more closer at this area. Personally, I think we do need some industrial land in the city. We don't have a whole lot of it. But maybe, obviously we want to protect our street frontages like West Penn, but maybe as you move back a lot or two. And we've made some attempts. I know in the zoning ordinance, there's for industrially zoned properties that front on Penn Street, there's actually a 90% masonry requirement. So it's debatable. On the next agenda item, we're a little bit more proactive with changing zonings. On this, you're kind of caught a little flat-footed, if you want to call it that, but long-winded response that I-1 zoning rules in this case. I know the applicant's here. He can describe overall, but again, the site meets all conditions for site plan approval. I've taken you through that with the site plan criteria as well as the design guideline criteria. So let's see here. So we did have two findings. The proposed use of the property would be consistent with the current I-1 zoning. The site plan would achieve consistency with North Liberty ordinances as well as design standards. And so city staff recommends you accept the two listed findings and forward the request for site plan approval to City Council with a recommendation for approval.
Right,
Thank you.
thanks, Ryan. Applicant's presentation?
My name's Ben Mitchell. I'm with MMS Consultants. We're the civil engineers on the site plan. I don't really have much of a presentation. I can answer questions though, if you guys have any. It's a pretty straightforward site. The mechanical or the contractor bays are kind of off the street, and it's filling in a vacant lot right now, and mostly just gravel and asphalt. So it should be a nice improvement to that area, I think, as far as related to the rest of the sites.
Thanks, Ben. If we have any questions, we'll call you back up. All right, are there any public comments? Whoa, that's different from Zoom as well. Actual public, great.
I know, it is great.
All right, any questions or comments from the commission?
Just probably should add too that it'll be predominantly a metal building, but it'll match the existing building that's on site. It'll be like an almond color, which will match everything else. They do provide for the masonry. The one thing I will note that I'm not crazy about in our zoning ordinance is you're able to subtract out surface area devoted to doors and windows, and I think that probably was intended to be like window glazing, but these are overhead doors, and they get credit for that, not to, they're meeting code. It's just something I may want to look at in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is not directly related to this, but Ryan, you were talking about as we review the plan, when do you see more of that coming towards or to the commission to review as well?
So we, just before the 4th, we did send out a request for proposals. We received 3 responses. So we anticipate doing interviews with those consultants in the next week or so. Then we'll ultimately select the most qualified candidate, get that approved by City Council, and we're on our way.
I personally don't see any issue with this. I mean, that area is kind of back off the street anyways.
Well, and if I'm thinking of the right location, it's fairly adjacent to a an equipment rental facility.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems somewhat similar use there for those contractors. And it is off Penn Street, fairly a small set off, so.
Yeah, and it's a dead-end street. Who knows what that'll happen. It'll continue at some point. But like I said, I think there's a need for industrial land in the city. We only have small area west of the interstate, and that's almost filled up.
And there's something similar across that street, right? Like, I can't remember what the name of the street is.
Years old.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
It's similar, and it's a metal building essentially with some masonry on it. So it's not, this is definitely in character with the buildings on that street.
Well, given that you confirmed they meet code and the 2 findings in the staff recommendation, I move that the Planning Commission accept the 2 listed findings and forward the site plan to the City Council with the recommendation for approval.
I'll second that.
all right, motion by Bathke, second by Heisler. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call.
Bathke,
Here? Yes.
Kehoe,
Aye.
Heisler,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Lowett.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, hold on, my gavel's messed up here. All right, agenda item number 4. This is actually from the City of North Liberty requesting a zoning map amendment. Staff
So not having a
presentation.
great deal of history here. I don't know if my predecessor had taken on to do what I would call administrative rezonings, and I don't mean, right, we'll still do the process, but it's undertaken by the city. In this case, this is the old suburban landscape, as I understand. It's now vacant. It was zoned industrial, as I understand, because I did talk to the president of Suburban Landscape, that they wanted the benefit of outdoor storage. But considering the property is vacant right now and we have a inconsistency issue, staff is seeking to rezone this property, or the city council to rezone this property to a C2A district. When I looked at the comprehensive plan, I thought, that to me is not questionable, that should be a commercially zoned property, and that's close to being in an area that I would call a gateway into or out of the city. And so, rezoning this to commercial puts us in a position of not having to react to an industrial use on that property. And again, I'd have to say the same thing, while it meets the I-1 zoning and you're compelled to approve it, taking proactive steps here to rezone it to commercial, and then we just react to a commercial development. And so the ordinance, the zoning ordinance does empower the city council to, on its own petition or another petition, to request this. And so that's what we're doing. And so, as I mentioned, currently the property is zoned I-1. The land use for the comprehensive plan land use for the property is commercial. And so we are requesting this to achieve consistency with the comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, I did speak with the president of Suburban Landscape. He understood generally at our first conversation. Second conversation, it was more of a, yeah, but the people I talk to think I can do more with industrial land, and I don't disagree with what he's saying. But at any rate, we decided to move forward with this. I did send a certified letter to the property owner and regular mail. That's included in the packet. I have not received any written or phone calls on this at all, and certainly I sent a letter telling him about the public hearing tonight, that you're welcome to come to the hearing and express your feelings on this, and so I haven't heard anything. So there were two findings that the city is empowered to move forward with this rezoning pursuant to section 165.08, and the zoning map amendment would achieve consistency with the North Liberty Comprehensive Plan future land use map. And so with that, staff recommends approval of the rezoning to C2A, and recommends you forward it to the city council with a recommendation for approval. Thank you.
All right, well, you are the applicant, so I doubt there's an applicant presentation, but were there any public comments about this?
We have
None.
not received any.
Okay. All right, questions and comments from the commission? So if we recommend this to city council, this will go in front of city council and they have to do the 3 readings, correct? So if the owner does have an issue, they would have another opportunity to speak in front of city council?
Correct, and I would also add, if they submit a formal objection, it'll require a 3/4 majority for city council to approve that rezoning.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to thank you. I just didn't know what happens next. Yes.
Just to clarify, it'll still go to city council even if you recommend no.
Well, true,
Right?
yes, yes.
But they want to take your opinion under
Got it,
consideration.
yes.
Sure.
Just to let other counselors know, I have actually received comments from multiple citizens as someone who lives fairly close to 240th Street, talking about that corner. And I know with the church just on that northwest corner, asking what's going to happen to that corner and hoping it wasn't too industrial, or there's even farmland there. And so I think changing it to the commercial zoning, like you said, is consistent with what the community would want to see.
In the 3 parcels around it, I mean, it just makes sense to have the consistency there.
Yeah, there's a couple parcels that you look at for consistency, and I thought this one was an easier decision to make. I don't, like I said, I don't see as we go through our comprehensive plan update that we would designate that property industrial. It just wouldn't make sense.
All right, any other questions or comments from the commission?
If the owner, if it was even in the next 3 months, or if it was 6 months from now, if he had a tenant come and want to use that for its existing purpose, if it was a construction company, landscaping company, how many hurdles would they have to jump to be able to, I mean, is it just, at that point, it's just getting a variance, or is there?
They'd have to go back and, assuming we went through the rezoning process, they would have to petition to rezone the property back to industrial. And I would argue at that point, we would say the request is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay. I'm just playing devil's advocate because I can see this maybe, at some point down the road here, the owner maybe thinking twice.
Yeah, when I talked to him, he said he was not actively pursuing sale of the property. He says he gets calls from time to time, people that may be interested in the property, but there's he indicated there was no development proposal on site. And I would say that, you know, contractor bays is an issue, right? And that's an industrial use.
Yeah.
But I would also argue contractor bays along our Rancho Way corridor would not be what we envision for the city.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Chair, if I can just contribute here minimally, hopefully. I don't believe we've had as Ryan said, a city-initiated zoning in anyone's tenure here. And so just to note that no property owner has a vested right in continuing any particular zoning classification. Where you would have a vested right is if you have developed and for a particular use. And so if there was some sort of substantial expenditure towards an industrial use, then there would be a continuing right for that person to maintain that use. And so I don't know whether we would have a position on that. That question's not being tested right now. But just generally speaking, you would have to have some sort of development towards that activity in order to have some sort of vested right in continuing to do so, to be a legal non-conforming use, for example. So I don't know if that's fully responsive to your question, but it gets towards the heart of it, and I don't know that I can opine further than that.
No, more or less, I mean, and ultimately, I think I know the answer to my question. I'm just kind of playing this out as if I'm in his shoes, or anybody else's for that matter, who may be in the, waiting in the wings that might want to buy this, as it kind of exists now.
Yeah, and I will say that this is a tool I tend to use cautiously, right? It's
Sure.
not something I'm going to go out finding every inconsistent, because it really need to analyze what the situation is with it.
And on a parcel this size, I don't really, if it were a little bigger, I might be a little bit more hesitant,
Yep.
but yeah.
Yep.
Well, and as a fellow landowner in North Liberty, we appreciate that this isn't something the city uses
Yeah.
in any excess, and that we take it seriously when we make the recommendation to the council for exactly that reason. The legal interests of a landowner are significant, and as our neighbors, we appreciate that.
All right, any other questions or comments? Or would anyone like to put forward a motion?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done it, but we want to open it up to public comment if any.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's, like I said, this is the first one for all of us in
Oh,
a
I'm
while.
sorry. I thought I had, but I'll open it up again.
If you had and I missed it, I apologize.
No, that's okay. Do we have any public comment about this? Okay. All right, seeing none. May I have a motion for our recommendation?
I move that the planning commission accept the two listed findings and forward the zoning map amendment to the city council with recommendation for approval.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Ahern, second by, is it Willard?
Willard.
Willard, okay. All right, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Ahern,
Aye.
Heisler,
Aye.
Willard,
Aye.
Batkey,
Aye.
and Keel.
Aye. All right, moving on, approval of previous minutes.
I'll move to approve the previous minutes.
I'll second.
Motion by Heisler, second by Ahern. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any old business, Ryan?
None?
Any new business?
No, but admittedly, it's coming off a holiday weekend, so if it's
Got it.
I'll remember later tonight.
Understood. Understood. Do we have stuff coming up for August?
Yes, we had a preliminary plat for the Evermore, which is the parcel on the west side where the sewer lift station is getting installed, and we're getting close to that coming online. So I know Steinler's moving forward, as well as the development on the east side of Kansas, looking at more of a master plan approach to how that's going to look out. So that's kind of exciting. And we also received 2 site plans. So
Oh,
the,
busy month.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
Well, we have that to look forward to. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
All
I'll
right.
second.
Motion by Heisler, second by Ahern. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. All
Work
right,
it.
that is.